Good evening. Welcome to the Juvenile Welfare Board's final public hearing for the consideration and adoption of the FY25 millage rate and budget. This public hearing is being held in accordance with Chapter 200 of the Florida statutes. I will ask Robbie Stivers to proceed with the proposed FY25 final millage rate portion of his presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Enter the first slide, please. We're at the last stage. This is the final trim hearing, as you can see on the board there, next to the arrow. Next slide. This is a millage rate history. This is the second consecutive year that the millage rate has remained constant, and in 2023 was the first time in over a decade that the millage rate had been reduced. The proposed millage rate for FY25 is 0.8250. Average single-family homeowner with a tax value of $234,000 will pay approximately $193. Next slide, please. The blue column is what we're focused on. The ad valorem tax is $108 million in the solid at the bottom of the blue. And then the lighter blue just in the middle there is $133.3 million, as the board just previously approved. That is assigned revenues for reserves. And the remaining unassigned revenues, that's at the board's discretion, is at $18.3 million. Next slide, please. This is a history of the ad valorem revenue adjusted for inflation, which I think is a really interesting slide. On the far left is 2007. In 2007, JWB had an inflation-adjusted ad valorem revenues of $58.14 million. 18 years later, in FY25, JWB is projecting that the inflated adjusted ad valorem revenues will finally exceed that of 2007. Next slide, please. The final millage rate for FY25 is based on a property valuation of $135 billion, and it represents a 9.39% increase over the prior year. The proposed millage rate of 0.825 requires 2/3 vote. The proposed millage rate is equal to the millage rate that the board approved in FY24. The millage rate is 0.96 greater than the rollback rate of 0.7642. The millage rate of 0.8250 yields an ad valorem revenue of $108,300,000, and that's budgeted at 97%. Next slide, please. Primary use of the revenue increase, the millage increase that we got, the increase of $9.2 million, $700,000 will go to, if approved, will go to fund programmatic increases that were approved by the board during FY24, $1.7 million towards the board's final fund balance requirement that it will be required for FY25, and the remaining 6.8, and these are approximations, 1.8 towards cost of living adjustments for our agencies, 2.4 million funding opportunity requests approved by the board in 2024, 1.4 million in additional strategic initiatives, and that's to fund 3 positions for program support that we have. Next slide, please. And a continuation of that, 2.6 million of that is for requests for applications. This is a one-time funding program that the board has previously approved. The total award of that will be greater than $5 million and $415,000 in strategic initiatives for new and expanded programs. This concludes my final millage presentation. Madam Chair, I'll defer back to you.
We're at the public comment portion of the hearing. Do we have any questions? With no public comment, are there any questions and or concerns coming from the board? Hearing none at this time, the board must now consider the resolution to set forth the final millage rate. I will ask Beth Houghton to read the resolution regarding the FY25 millage rate.
Resolution Fiscal Year 25-03, a resolution of the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for Pinellas County for fiscal year 2025, and providing for an effective date. Whereas the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County, Florida, on September 23, 2024, adopted fiscal year final millage rate following a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within Pinellas County has been certified by the county property appraiser to the Juvenile Welfare Board as $135,391,038,472. Now therefore be it resolved by the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County, Florida, that the fiscal year 25 operating millage rate is .8250 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of .7642 mils by 7.96%. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
I will now ask Julia to call on each board member for their vote. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I skipped over that. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, now I'll call on, you're going to do it, Olivia? I'll call on Olivia.
The Honorable Patrice Moore, Board Chair.
Yes.
Division Chief Jim Milliken, Vice Chair.
Yes.
The Honorable Bruce Bartlett, Board Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Brian Onks Jr.
Aye.
Ms. Kristen Nage.
Yes.
Mr. Kevin Hendrick.
Yes.
The Honorable Chris Latvala.
Yes.
Mr. Michael McCurrick.
Yes.
The Honorable Sarah Mallow.
Yes.
Miss Melissa Rutland.
Yes.
I will now ask Robbie to proceed with the proposed FY25 final budget portion of his presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There have been no changes since the first trim hearing last week to the budget. Next slide, please. The FY25 final budget revenue is broken down as follows. Millage rate of the .8250, ad valorem, that will render an ad valorem revenue of $108,346,000. That's budgeted at 97%. The interest projection is almost $2.6 million. Contributions of $40,000 for total revenue of $110,966,000. And that's a $9.2 million, almost $9.3 million increase over last year. Next slide, please. FY25 final budget program expenditures. The continuation of programs, including the cost of living increases, $112,253,000. New and expanded programs, $415,000. The RFA and capital technology is $5.4 million. The contingency has been not budgeted for this year, leaving a total proposed budgeted expenditures of $118,145,000. The variance from this year's expenditure budget versus the amended expenditure budget for last year is $7,920,000. Next slide, please. The bulk of the spend goes for the FY25 Children and Family Services, almost $118 million. The top three there are expenditures are the out-of-school time, behavioral health, parenting, education, and family support. Next slide, please. The FY25 final budget of administrative expenditure are as follows. 86 full-time employees, salaries and benefits of $9,669,000, calculated at 97.5% due to the float in positions as they are vacated and filled. And then operating of $2,379,000 for a total administrative expenditure budget of $12,048,000, and that is an increase this year of $516,000 over last year. Next slide. Changes in fund balance. Beginning fund balance is $51,590,000. $333 million of that, or $33 million of that is in reserve funds, leaving an unassigned fund balance of about $18 million. The ending fund balance is projected to be at $29,350,000, which is a decrease of $22 million over last year. Questions? And Madam Chair, if I may take a matter of personal privilege, I'd like to recognize staff for their hard work on this. Hunter, Diana Carl's not here. Stacy is here, as well as Lynn, and I couldn't do it without them, and they certainly worked very hard in getting this information accurate and get it in a form where I can present it. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
We're now at the public comment portion. Do we have any public comments? May I have a motion for acceptance of the final budget? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I do that? I'm trying to get out of here. Forgive me.
Motion, and who was the second? Thank you.
Okay. I'll ask Olivia to take the roll call instead of me just saying it.
The Honorable Patrice Moore, Board
Yeah.
Chair.
Yes.
Division Chief Jim Milliken, Vice Chair.
Yes.
The Honorable Bruce Bartlett, Board Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Brian Oggs Jr.
Aye.
Ms. Kristen Nage.
Yes.
Mr. Kevin Hendrick.
Yes.
The Honorable Chris Latvala.
Yes.
Mr. Michael McCurrick.
Yes.
The Honorable Sarah Malo.
Yes.
Miss Melissa Rutland.
Yes. Okay, so the one thing that we do need to do is,
The resolution.
we did not have Beth read the resolution.
I am so sorry, Beth. I skipped right past
So
you.
we just, by statute, she does need to read the
Yes.
resolution, and then we can affirm that resolution.
All right. Resolution fiscal year 25-04, a resolution of the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2025, providing for an effective date. Whereas the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County, Florida, on September 23, 2024, held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County set forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the budget for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $162,556,324. Now therefore be it resolved by the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County, Florida, that the fiscal year 2025 final budget be adopted, and this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
We've already voted in favor of said budget. Unless we have any comments and/or concerns, I would,
Do you want another roll call after I've read that?
We can just, does everyone affirm their roll call vote?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. With that, unless the board members have any further comments, this concludes the final public hearing for the FY25 millage and budget. Yeah, she had to run out, so I was trying to get her out.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Unfortunately, we were still good.
yeah.
Well, thank you.